the absolute worst pick of the draft. After paying Kirk Cousins all the money, drafting Michael Penix in the first round. Wow. So what do you want to talk about? Welcome to this week's Be About It podcast. I know it has been a minute since I was on, but life happened. I got caught in a bunch of stuff, sickness, back hurting, taking care of the daughter, school events, things like that. But we are here now. We are ready. And I got some stuff to talk about tonight. But before I get to what I had planned, the missus posed a question to me today. And apparently it's out there on TikTok where a lot of people are talking about it. It's if your daughter was in, or your significant other, or whatever was in the woods, would you rather her be in the woods with a bear or a man? Now, me being the logical thinker I am, I propose, like, what kind of bear? My first question. Because if it's a koala bear that sleeps 23 hours a day, I'm pretty sure my daughter can outrun it for an hour. Just saying. But, I had all these questions. But, the actual breakdown of that question is how much do you trust to be? I was like, which one would you trust more? Basically saying that if you are a man, you are a threat in this world. But then I answered it honestly, kind of jumping out and telling my wife how it is. I would not trust with either. And she said, you got to pick one. I was like, the hell I do. And she was like, well, would you trust with a woman or a bear? I was like, hell no, I would not trust her with a woman or a bear. And she's like, what do you mean? And she kind of was caught off guard on that one because my answer was 100% honest and immediate, would not question it. Because in this world, I've known too many women that will backstab their best friend to get ahead, to get a position, to get a man in this world. What makes you think that woman won't backstab a little girl to get away from an animal, a bear, or just flat out survival? That was my whole thought on that process. That's, to be honest, and you want to talk about man, I talk about humanity. Humanity's first thing whenever it comes to everything is survival. So whether you're man, woman, it does not matter on that, to be honest. It is survival. And I wouldn't trust my daughter because as a parent, this is my thought. As a parent, my sole purpose is to make sure of my child's survival. Now, other people that are not parents cannot feel that. You wouldn't understand I'm not saying you don't understand. There are different levels on loving and taking care of something. But as far as when it comes to that question, would you trust your daughter in a woods with a bear or a human? You can't trust a human in general. And the question was posed man, to be honest. Here it was posed man or a bear. And most people would pick bear because of that, because a man is considered a threat in this world. That is a simple truth. Intimidating, scary in some kinds, some more than others. So who knows? But that is the kind of thought process. A lot of if you've seen this video, you've responded, things like that. But if you actually break down the questionnaire on it, it makes you think, how bad is humanity that we would not trust one of our own in the woods because survival has become the main focus at our attention at that time. So, but yeah, I just figure I'd start off with that because that was, my wife posed that question and I was like, you know what, my first logical, I was like I was saying a minute ago, what bear? What kind of man? Straight? Gay? Trans? A lot of these questions come up. I'm like, what kind of man is this? What kind of bear? And she was like, it's a brown bear. I was like, oh, those are so cute. Is it an adult bear? Because if they grow up together, then they'll be like buddies, and they'll be like, yeah. But I was making fun of the question before I answered it honestly, but she was upset because she was trying to record my reaction so she could put it on there, and I never failed to deliver a bad reaction whenever I'm posed with one of those questions. I am one of the world's worst when it comes to TikTok trend and things like that. Do not try to get me on those videos because I'm a logical thinker. I will think things through and through. I want to know all the variables before I give you an answer. So if I don't get an answer, or if I don't get all the variables, I won't give you an honest answer. But once I got the variables, understood the question, I gave her my answer. So she wasn't happy with it, but she understood it at least. So we're good with it. So now that we got that out of the way, let's start with the rest of the stuff that I have all on hand. Who has been keeping up with Congress and the TikTok ban? This is the biggest load of bullshit I have ever heard in my life. And I wish I could say it was only the U.S. that had done it. It is actually India did it back in 2020. TikTok, I mean, there's a lot of people that make their living on TikTok, that sell things. Sometimes this is little old Mary's only side hustle because she's taking care of 2 or 3 kids. I was like, and this is the only time she actually gets to interact with adults and feel useful and work and make money, so she doesn't feel just like a complete pain. So I am very much against this. I mean, but I'm gonna tell you how this happened. But first, this was passed by the Senate. It was passed in by the House months ago, but I thought it was going to be, now a few episodes ago, I did say that I didn't think it was going to take this long, or thought it was going to take like a year or so, but I was wrong. Man, they pushed this through. You're for it to a point. Oh my God. I'm like, sorry, live on TikTok, reading some of these. For it to a point. For it to a point for the banning of TikTok. Now, 170 million Americans use this app. I mean, a lot of people just have fun with it, make some videos, and, get their name out there. Some people do it for a business. Some people, they just like to social. Now, better regulations, I can understand that for a point, because now you're getting ahead of the subject. That was like 4 notes down, damn it. I was like, if I have to, we're going to have you on the show. That way you can read this in. We won't be skipping around things. But it was actually mixed in for the relief and support of Israel and Ukraine package. So it wasn't just a bill by itself. So this was built in, put into it, so the senators had to decide whether they wanted to fund Ukraine and Israel or not ban TikTok. That was pretty much the truth that was behind it. So they decided we're still going to fund them. So TikTok, bye-bye. And the new stipulation on them, now it was 6 months on the original bill that they put out, but now they have 9. 1 year if they have a deal pending within that 30-day or the last 3 months and going. But since this has passed, the owners of Byte, I can't remember, Byte something, but since then the owners have actually said they will shut the app down before they sell. But on a positive note, they are not going to go down without a fight. They plan on fighting this in the courts and seeing what they can do, and they do have not a bad chance. I mean, there has been turnaround where free speech, but I think the government is pretty much dead set on this. So if they get the right deal, they'll sell. Money talks. That's the simple truth. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, India banned it back in 2020 along with 58 other Chinese apps. Now this came due to a simmering conflict between 2 countries that led to violence at their border. So basically they got in an altercation, a fight. Okay, I got to there's never been a more true statement on my TikTok lives. Chris Morgan here just decided to say we need to go back to MySpace. And he's put LOL, but that's some serious shit. I'm sorry. Whenever we had MySpace, I mean, make it all your own, make it all the flashy stuff. Hey man, that's true. That's a true statement. It is what it is. Come on, it's not a comment. That's a fact. I love MySpace. It was great. It was 100% customizable. But back to this. Basically, those 2 got in a little skirmish on the border where a couple Chinese and 9 Indians lost their life. And they decided, okay, we're going to forget the app, forget it when it comes to everything Chinese were done. So U.S. is not first to do this, and it's all because of conflict. Chinese are one of those countries that U.S. always keeps an eye on and keeps things going. So that is definitely a possibility, and I wouldn't throw it out the window where Chris was saying on TikTok here on regulations. Yes, all of our information is going over there, but I'm sorry, I don't think the thousands of cat videos are really making it. They're looking for certain people, certain things that could help them out over there, and they are not going to get it now. TikTok is really helping out. I don't know, they're saying, "Hey, here's our everything we've recorded. Here's everything. Look through it. See if there's anything breaking the law." And they're 100% cooperative, so they can't really say nothing. They are throwing it out there. They don't want to lose the business, but they will if they need to, because they're always going to continue to do business, just not on a large scale. Now, after India finally decided to done on the TikTok scale, then the new markets for Instagram Reels came through, as well as YouTube Shorts. So basically, they lost one, and they just jumped over to another one. So it's not the end of the world, but it is definitely like a speed bump for a lot of people. A lot of people that I was reading about were, like I always like to say, TikTok famous and stuff, and are recognized on the streets and stuff, and all of a sudden they're not recognized on TikTok anymore. They're recognized on YouTube. So it will affect a lot of the users that love this app. I enjoy this app a lot, but I think in the long run, what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen regardless of what we want, what we feel. So let's just, have a backup plan, if you know what I'm saying. Well, let's get back to it. So, the draft happened last week, and yes, being the football fan that I am, I tuned in. And I'm not going to review the whole draft because that'll take me a few hours. So I am going to review just the NFC East. Mainly because I think one of these teams had the best draft in the entire draft. So we're going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys. I know I hear the boos from everywhere, all over the country. But here in Texas, it is no boo at all. And to be honest, it was not a bad draft on them. The Cowboys went safe the first three picks, and for the first time ever, I can say Jerry was not stupid, except for that second round pick, which I'm not 100% certain on. But the first pick, we picked Tyler Guyton. He's going to be a solid starter as tackle. Don't know where they're going to put him, whether they're going to move tackles around, but this man's going to come in, hopefully replace our dear lost tackle, long time, who went to be a Jet this year. I will not speak his name anymore, not until he signs his one-day contract and retires Cowboy. But the Cowboys actually were very safe. They didn't take anything out of the ordinary needs. Like I said, that second pick was where they kind of lost me, and I wasn't enthusiastic, wasn't happy about it at all. It was Marshawn Kneeland. And it's not because he's a bad player. That's the thing. I was not upset that he was taken, because he's a good player, good solid edge rusher. But we had other options and we had other needs. We did not really need heavy on defense. Our defense was a top 5 defense. So I was not really jumping in on that one. So while I say that he is a good player and he'll make a difference on the team, I would have rather seen a receiver to replace a good slot receiver taken to replace maybe a tight end, something like that along those lines. But we didn't get it, so I moved on. And the rest of the draft wasn't bad. I mean, we picked what we needed. I wish we would have gotten a couple players, and I was upset a couple times. But you know what? Overall, I give a solid B. Now let's go to Philadelphia, the hated Eagles. To be honest, they got a solid corner with Quentin Mitchell in the first round. they addressed their needs. They could not stop a few of the passes on there, so they really kind of amped it up and did a good job on them. Their first pick was by far the better one. Now, the only pick that I thought they were kind of reaching on was the third pick, third round. Probably a little high. He was more of a developmental player. They'll bring him along slowly, but solid draft for them as well. I mean, they really addressed a lot more of their needs in the offseason where they stacked with Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry, but you gave the Eagles that already had a good offense and a good defense. You gave them a solid corner, and Saquon Barkley gives them a running game that they have not had solid before. I'm getting more and more scared that the Cowboys are falling from second to third. And, by the time it's all said and done, we'll be lucky if we are at 8-9 team, the way that the NFC East really stacked everything. But Philadelphia is solid. I'll give y'all a B2. Now, New York surprised me. I thought they were going to be taking a quarterback in the first round. I thought pretty much everybody thought that. I mean, we figured, okay, they had a good run. Let's try to get a quarterback like we did, rebuild a franchise and go. But they did not. They actually took the best receiver in the draft with Malik Nabers. Nothing wrong with that at all. They did good. Outside of that, the rest was kind of blah. Nothing special. Nothing horrible. It was kind of just like, I'm going to take this person because I need this, get this because I need this. It wasn't over the top, but it by far was not bad at all. I mean, I'm going to give them a solid B minus. So, but still a good draft for the New York. And with that new receiver that they have, they could turn things around in there. But it is New York, so let's face it. They got a long way to go. Now let's finish this with Washington. The hated Commanders, former Redskins. They had the best draft in the division. They had the best draft overall. They addressed every need. They had a lot of players coming in. They had 3 second-round picks. They had a solid pick with Jaden Daniels in the first round, drafting a franchise quarterback. Then you get the second round. They're going to draft a defensive tackle, Johnny Newton. They're going to draft a corner, Mike. Not even going to pretend like I could pronounce his last name. And then a tight end, Ben Sinnott. We know Dan Quinn is a defensive-minded coach. He proved that here in Dallas, where he turned a half-ass defense to a top 5 defense. And if you think he's not going to go up to Washington and do the exact same thing, a lot of people forget Dan Quinn has been a head coach. He took the Falcons to the Super Bowl. We all remember the embarrassment of the Patriots comeback Super Bowl, but again, could say nothing. So Dan Quinn has all the tools, and then you give him a massive amount of draft picks, and you give him a solid offseason where he's bringing in a few people, brought in even a couple of former Cowboys that he has probably been keeping his eye on, and took our center and a couple other players. So he had his plan in place, the team that he wanted to go to, and they gave him everything he needed. With a great draft and a great offseason, Dan Quinn is going to have a lot going for him next year, and I'm not going to be a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's just the Commanders, but to be honest, you can't say that about Dan Quinn and all the player and talent he has added. That is just going to wreak havoc all over the NFC, and definitely the NFC East. It's going to give a lot of people a lot more challenges. So, that being the NFC draft. Now, I know I said I was just doing the NFC, but let me propose a little side note. Because what I thought was the absolute worst pick of the draft, after paying Kirk Cousins all the money, drafting Michael Penix in the first round. Wow. That's just saying a whole lot of faith that they have in Kirk. They're like, hey, here you go. So basically, Kirk got put on the clock and saying, hey, win or we got this kid. I know we said we pay you this much, but tough shit. So that's pretty much what they're going to be rolling with. And like win or go home is what Kirk Cousins is on the ball. Kirk probably got about 2 years now before they're going to want to move this kid, because by the time Kirk contract is up, this kid will be 28. More than half of his career, if he's good, will be gone. So they're going to want to move him quick if Kirk ain't doing what he's doing. So Kirk in Atlanta, good luck. I have a feeling you'll be looking for a new team in 2 or 3 years. Now, outside of that, a lot of the talk was Buffalo trading down out of the first round completely. I saw the videos of all the fans, all pissy, angry, people throwing things like, why the hell did you do it? Now, I have a theory. I don't know how right I am because I wasn't in their war room, but they were upset they traded out of the first round. But I think that the player that they really wanted was already taken, and they didn't know what to do, and they thought that their second player was too high, so they were like, let's trade down, get out of the first, then we can come back and add some stuff later. But that was the only thing that made sense, because they took a wide receiver. There was a couple wide receivers on the ball at number 31, 32, where they traded down from all the way into the second, but they got a good pick, and they only had to trade down. They're going to pay this kid less, and they got a solid wide receiver. I don't think they're going to be upset. Now, they did steal, or not steal, but trade away Stephon Diggs for pennies. And I mean, man, I was even jealous of that. I'm like, man, the Cowboys couldn't have thrown a second rounder in there. We could have got him. Man. Whew, man. Now, but who knows with Buffalo? Maybe they had an argument. Maybe they didn't want to sign or didn't want to give him an extension, whatever the case may be. Stephon Diggs is now a Houston Texan, which makes that team all the more better. Man, that was a good trade on their part. We'll see if that comes back on to bite them later on. So, now, one thing. Got to say this. Trigger warning. If you are watching, listening to this, I am about to give you my opinion on what's going on with all the college protests going on. So if you are easily offended, India now is the biggest markets for YouTube and Instagram. They have a ton of people in that, more so than the U.S. But so they lost TikTok, but they just moved on and went to something else. But there's a lot of creators on TikTok that do sell. Who remembers during Christmas? I know I do, because my wife got me one of those untangled. You saw everybody making this, like, come on, brushing their kids' hair, and their kids whipping back like that, trying to feel, I was like, everything on it. And, I saw a couple kids crying. I was like, you know what? I don't know if that brush works so well. But, it's not a bad little brush. Yeah, a lot of people, as they make their living selling a few things, side hustles, making a few extra bucks, 500, 600, sometimes a couple thousand on this. I'm not in this for the money. I do this because I like it. I found a little passion for it. Like you see me, I'm nothing fancy. I'm like got the backwards hat, got the shirt, said hold my beer right there, George Washington. I'm nothing fancy, but I do enjoy what I do. Take a quick second, real quick. If you are upset in any way by a lot of things, people talking bad, you might want to stop listening right now. And I have a little application I'll put on the screen right now so you can fill out and take care of things. If you are still around, let's get into these college Palestine protests. Wow, they are all over the place. All right, let's get into the pro-Palestine protest all over the campus, or all over several campuses popping up, over 100 campuses across the country. So these have been gathering a lot of attention lately, especially the one in Columbia, which I think kind of set it all off and got things going. Now, wherever you feel, whether you're pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, whatever you feel, that is your opinion. And to be honest, I respect your opinion no matter what, as long as you respect mine. And I think a lot of people are missing the point in that. We can talk. We can discuss things. We can have that kind of talk and open conversation. But as long as you're going to respect each other's opinions and their own, we are still going to be okay. And if everybody has that open mentality, a lot more things will change and always for the better. Now, uh, protests come. Now, like I was saying, Colombia, which kind of gathered a lot of things, ended. Well, not ended. It just kind of took a little hiatus because 300 were arrested in Colombia on Wednesday. Along with other campuses, there were several, a few down in Florida, over 70. Like in Texas, we got over 70 of them arrested. When the protest came to Texas, that was kind of like, you should not have messed with that one. They went to UT. I was like, and first thing they did was call in the police. And I was like, hey, y'all go ahead and get down there. And they were going to keep the peace no matter what. So, and that resulted a couple days and a lot of arrests. I'm sorry, but Texas police, especially when you're that close to the capital of Texas, are not going to mess around with you. Maybe if you were in a smaller college, I was like anywhere around Texas, might have done something. But you are less than 10 miles away from the Capitol building in Texas. They're not going to mess with your crap there. And y'all messed around, found out. That was me being on the good side of talking right there. So, but a lot of people are, these are very pro-Palestine protests. And I have heard it from both sides. I had a conversation with a coworker. And I understand where they are coming from, but this is not stemming from 60 years ago. This is stemming from October 7th. There was no war, no bombings, no invasions, no nothing before October 7th. And everybody wants to talk on the protest. This has been building for decades, for centuries, things like that. This has not, the invasion and the bombings is not from what happened. Now, that may have started it, but the bombings on October 7th were an act of terrorism. If you disagree with that, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. At least in my opinion, you may have thought it was right to kill women and children, burn children in their cribs. I mean, that's your opinion. You live with that. I don't. I think if you're going to bomb a country on a holiday where this was not an act of war, this was an act of terrorism. When you were going to rape women, when you were going to murder children, it is not an act of war, that is an act of terrorism. Now, Israel has done exactly what any other country around the world would do. If you are threatened where all they believe is kill every single person in that country, you're going to act accordingly, and they are. Do I agree with 100% of what Israel is doing? I do not. I wish we could have a peaceful resolve. But I'm not going to back a country or back someone, Hamas. Now, I won't speak for the entire Palestine. Speak for the entire Palestine people. Although a lot of Palestinians have come out, one in particular, which I'm going to get up on my website, which you haven't been to the website yet. It's www.beaboutitpodcast.com. Get that interview up so you can kind of see how certain people are following. But whenever it comes to the actions taken by those that are bombing, killing, murdering, now a lot of people can say that is what Israel is doing now. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. They're bombing people. They're killing innocent civilians. And I wish they weren't. It's not war. War has rules. You have to follow it just like anything else. We'll get back to that. But the protests really were spreading anti-Semitism and hatred of Israel over the war with Hamas in Gaza. I'm all for protests, by the way. I believe freedom of speech 100%, or else I would not be doing this right now. Speak your mind. You have earned, being an American, that is one of your rights. Please exercise that right. You may change my mind. If you do, you do. If you don't, we can still be friends, just with different opinions. But Jewish students were the target, not allowing to get on campus. A lot of Jewish Americans, let me repeat that, Jewish Americans, not Israelis, Jewish Americans, were scared of even leaving their dorms, leaving their housing, in fear of these protests because they wondered how it's going to be because they were being blocked, they were being targeted, pointed out just from where exercising their freedom of religion. Another thing we have in this country, along with freedom of speech, that a lot of these protesters need to recognize. Again, protest, but don't break anybody's rights. And a lot of this being, like I was saying, being targeted towards Jewish Americans. At what point is this going to be called a hate crimes or hate racism or hate in general? They're calling them peaceful protests, but there's nothing peaceful about spreading fear and hate. And that's what they're doing. I'm sorry. They're not trying to join and get together and bring people together. They're trying to divide. They're trying to separate. They're trying to get me and you and you and you to hate someone just from where their ancestors were from. Not necessarily that person. Most of Jewish Americans were born right here in America. They have nothing to do with Israel. But because they are of the Jewish faith, they are a target. Don't understand that. Now, like I said, going back to the start. Hamas attacked Israel, killed over 1,200 Israelis. It was an act of terrorism. It could not be described as anything else. And whenever I was thinking of this, I compared that to whenever on 9/11, whenever we were attacked in New York, where the two twin towers came down because of it, with the planes flying and everything. So that's what I was thinking of whenever that happened, because that's what it reminded me of. It didn't remind me of a war. It reminded me of an act of terrorism. That's why I will never back Hamas. And, a lot of people, I was like, don't really distinguish that, but I do. That's my personal feeling on it. And now we have whenever they attacked, it was horrible. I'm not going to mention everything again. I've already mentioned it once. I'm not going to go. But the big thing is, whenever they invaded Israel, they took hostages, not prisoners of war, but hostages. That, again, was an act of terrorism to me. Now, one of the newer sanctions that have happened is Iran has jumped in here, sending drones into Israel. Now, as far as I have read, Iran, as I sending drones into Israel, is basically two bullies picking on the wrong kid. They are attacking from both sides. Now, Israel's already starting to respond to Iran, but that is, again, two bullies picking on the wrong kid, and I hate bullies. I'm sorry. I was bullied as a kid. I was picked on because I was a tiny little thing before I got the muscles. And I have grown very tired and angry towards bullies in any way, form, or fashion. So maybe that's another stem from what I'm seeing on this. But one of the things that I have noticed, I was flipping through some things, and I came across this Ben Shapiro, which a lot of people know him, in a video where he was kind of put a protester down, and went by the numbers, and he was mentioned based on the numbers. With more Germans that died in Britain in World War II, does that make Britain wrong in World War II? You really have to think about that question again. With more Germans that died than Britons in World War II, does that make Britain wrong in World War II? So whenever you think about that question on the amount of people that died based on a war, now, yes, a lot of Palestinians have died more than Israelis, but think of yourself that question. Just because another country died or more people have died, does that make that country wrong, or does that make the other country wrong? Now, a lot of people are going to say that Israel is wrong immediately. A lot of people are going to say, no, you're right. Palestine is wrong on that. But the good thing about this, and this is what I always preach on this, is I don't do fakeness. If you look on my website, right up there at the top, I was like, think it, say it, be about it. Plain and simple. Don't do fake. Be real. If it's your opinion, own it. Live it. Keep it. And with that, I hope we have a peaceful resolution over in Israel. I hope we have a peaceful resolution over in the Middle East. But I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon. Now, a lot of people don't like my opinion, and that's cool. I'm saying you don't have to like my opinion, just respect me for having it. And I'll respect you for having yours, even if it's different from mine, and I'm good with that. But just be open-minded. And whenever you talk to somebody in this country that is an American, and to all the protesters out there, keep it peaceful. No targeting, no spreading hate, no spreading anger. I was like, obviously, whenever you got the Speaker of the House coming out and saying we're not tolerating this anymore, you're not doing what's best for America. You're doing what's best for a country that hates America. Now, on that note, I am going to wrap up the podcast. At least the recorded part. I'm going to stick around on TikTok for a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had a great time. I hope your brain starts spinning. I hope you enjoyed everything and you have questions. And again, don't forget to visit www.beaboutitpodcast.com. You can subscribe. I'm not charging. Be first. And on there is going to actually be some videos posted that I don't do on TikTok or Facebook or anything like that are just for my website. And if I do make a video, I'm not going to post it on the website. Before I do it on any of these, I'm going to get some takes on it. So please go over there. Give me some love. Let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. By all means, let me know what I'm doing wrong. I can fix it. But till the next time, don't talk about it. Be about it. Have a great one.